You know, the phrase academic writing can sound pretty intimidating, right? It sounds like some secret code that only geniuses can crack. But here's the thing, it's not. It's really just a skill, a very specific way of communicating, and honestly, anyone can learn it. So let's break it down together.
Okay, first, let me ask you something simple. Do you write the exact same way that you talk? I mean, for pretty much all of us, the answer is, well, it depends, doesn't it?
I mean, think about it. You're not going to send your professor a text that says, "Hey, you free to talk?" right? And you probably wouldn't send a super formal email to your best friend just to see if they want to grab a coffee. We instinctively, without even thinking about it, change our language based on who we're talking to and what we're trying to do.
And that idea right there, that is the master key to everything. This one simple concept that we're always adapting our language for our audience and our purpose is the foundation for understanding every single kind of writing, especially academic writing. So, that brings us to the first big question you have to ask yourself. Who are you actually writing for? Because figuring out your reader is always step one.
Well, in academic writing, your audience is basically the academic community itself. You're writing for professors, for researchers, for other scholars. And the goal, it isn't just to prove you did the homework. The real goal is to join an ongoing conversation, a huge, global conversation, and add your own voice to what we all collectively know. So what is academic writing, really? Put simply, it's the formal style used in universities to share complex ideas and research. You can almost think of it as the official language of scholarship.
Now, to really get a handle on what academic writing is, it really helps to understand what it isn't. So let's put it side by side with a style we all know and love, creative writing. Let's say you're writing about a bear. In creative writing, you might write a thrilling story about a hiker who has this heart-pounding encounter on a trail. But in academic writing, you'd be writing a research paper, analyzing data on the eating habits of a specific kind of bear. You see the difference? One tells a story, the other presents evidence. Let's dig into those differences a little more. The whole purpose of creative writing is usually to entertain or to express yourself. But for academic writing, it's all about informing your reader or proving an argument with evidence. The style is totally different too. Creative writing is inventive. You make the rules. Academic writing is formal and follows really strict style guides. And the language? Creative writing can be emotional, figurative, even use slang. But academic writing, it has to be precise, literal, and objective. Okay, so we know who we're writing for, and we know what makes this style so unique. So now, let's get into the core principles. Think of these as the 7 pillars that hold up any great piece of academic writing. You know, a really great way to think about this is that writing an academic paper is a lot like building a house. You wouldn't just show up with a pile of wood and start nailing boards together, would you? Of course not. You'd need a detailed blueprint, while your writing needs that exact same level of careful planning and clear structure.
And these are the 7 key features, the things every piece of academic writing needs. It's got to be structured, evidenced, critical, precise, balanced, objective, and formal. Now let's zoom in on a couple of the most important and sometimes trickiest ones.
First up, objectivity. Now this is a huge shift for a lot of writers. The main focus has to be on the information and the arguments themselves, not on your personal feelings or what you think. The work needs to be able to stand on its own, completely separate from you. For example, instead of writing, "I believe the practice is unsustainable," which puts all the focus on your personal opinion, you'd shift to something like, "It is believed the practice is unsustainable." See that little change? It moves the spotlight from you to the idea. And why does that matter? Because it makes your argument about the evidence, not your feelings. The evidence becomes the star of the show, not you.
All right, next up is a more advanced concept, but it's so important. It's called hedging. Now, this isn't about being wishy-washy or avoiding a point. It's actually about being incredibly precise with your claims. It's the academic way of saying, hey, based on all my research, this seems to be true, but I know it's not an absolute 100% fact. It shows you're a careful thinker, and it leaves the door open for more conversation.
So in this example, words like suggests and probably, that's classic hedging. They soften the claim. Instead of saying something is a hard fact, which could easily be proven wrong, the writer is presenting a conclusion that's well supported but still cautious. And weirdly enough, that caution actually makes the argument sound stronger and way more credible. Okay, let's get super practical for a minute and talk about tone. Mastering that formal tone really just comes down to making small, careful choices with your words. First one, and this is the easiest fix in the book, get rid of contractions. Can't just becomes cannot. Don't becomes do not. It's a really simple switch that instantly makes your writing feel more formal.
Next, try to replace informal phrasal verbs, like got over, with more precise, single words. So instead of saying a patient got over his illness, you'd write that he recovered from it. It just sounds sharper.
And finally, be precise. Vague phrases like a lot of are way too casual for academic work. Instead, you can use more formal language like a significant number of, or even better, just use the data. Say 68% of participants. Remember, in academic writing, precision is credibility.
Okay, deep breath. We've covered the why and the what. Now let's talk about the how. Here's a simple blueprint you can follow to get from that first spark of an idea all the way to a finished paper.
This 5-step process is a fantastic roadmap. First, you define your topic. Then, you plan out your research, you search for your sources, and then, and this is probably the most important part, you create a detailed outline. That's your blueprint. Only then, after all that prep work, should you start writing the actual paper.
So, as we start to wrap this up, I want to reframe this whole thing for you. Because, yeah, there are rules, and there are conventions you have to follow. But academic writing is so much more than that. It's your ticket. It's your invitation to join a scholarly conversation that's been going on for centuries. It's how you add your voice to the human quest for knowledge.
So the question isn't really, can you learn all these rules? The real question, the more exciting question, is this: what conversation will you join?